So, greetings to you, my former students. I'm in France now, although I actually am based in Greece. Now, it's such a long story that I'm going to have to be brief, and you'll forgive the promiscuity and disorganization of what I'm going to say, because I'm just talking off the cuff. But let me tell you, I was very happy and chuffed when Simon Craddock got in touch after over 30 years. I'm very happy that we remember each other. Because in a way, only history exists, only the past exists. The future cannot exist except in our minds, and what we call the present is simply our awareness, which disappears into the past. Let's remember that, something that people forget these days, because people, I think, avoid simplicity, which brings to me the thought that will we ever admit that truth and simplicity are bedfellows, and that weakness fears both. This is something I've learned. Anyway, very briefly, I joined the Bournemouth in 1988. I worked virtually alone for a whole term on developing this Britain's first degree in the semantically difficult term PR, or public relations. When other staff joined on board to further the development of the degree, I insisted on a sandwich year, thank goodness, to instill a sense of reality in the degree and give you experience while you were studying more academically. As you probably know, the whole thing, not the degree, but my career at Bournemouth fell apart because I refused to participate in cheating Erasmus, and I won't go into details there. So to cut a longer story short, I then stood as a candidate in London West in the European elections, 1994, got nearly 22,000 votes, and then I got a Greek government scholarship, went to Greece, and reverted to my previous interest in diplomatic history. I've now written around 15 books, some of which are translated into other languages, lots of articles. I'm actually on the editorial committee of the Journal for Near Eastern and Balkan Studies, which is my main activity, plus writing books. I'm a manic researcher. I deal only with documents. My latest book is actually on interstate relations, and you'll find it. It's published by Palgrave Macmillan. So I'm pretty active, actually. I also spearfish as much as I can. Why am I in France at the moment? Because I'm here helping my mum, who's nearly 98, and I come every 2 months for a week or two to organize things and help, as you can imagine. Look, PR was a very funny subject. It's now very royal. I think it's now got a royal charter, so they caught up with their marketing homologues. I don't know whether that's done it much good, because it's still and always will be a rather controversial area, which is why many people prefer the word communication. Now, what did I try to do with you, as it were, when I was teaching? Well, firstly, I wasn't teaching. I was trying to help you to learn. And I was trying to help you to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of what I was trying to help you to learn with. The good, the bad, and the ugly of PR. Because nothing is perfect. And the moment we become starry-eyed and think, oh, it's perfect, then we usually come unstuck in the end. Now, what has happened in these 31, 32 years, what has happened is I see that the world is falling into a certain measure of chaos. I see that communication is even killing communication in the name of communication. Speed and greed and globalism are taking away the ability to really reflect. So I will even go as far as saying that if you really need to reflect and think deeply, you need the space not to have to think. Think about that. Because of the speed and greed, the space has been taken away from us. We act under the illusion that we have an agenda which we pursue manically, but very often, as you can see, things come unstuck, as they are at the moment in the world. Now, another thing that's happened, of course, is this fetish with identity. I'm a simple person. I've always believed that my identity comes from my parents. And for those few of you who are unfortunate enough not to have parents, then your identity surely comes from those people who brought you up. The other thing that slightly irritates me is this fetish with dividing society into moral and sexual groups. This has created strife among them and confusion. And remember that it's quite easy to control people when they're confused. That's another thing that's happened, and I'm sure that it'll be close to your hearts, especially for those of you who are still working in public relations. I could go on for a long time. I could go on about my books, how hard my books are, but I think my main message really to you really is I'm absolutely happy as anything that you got in touch with me. Thank you, Simon Craddock, for that. If any of you can find Andy Wallace, I'd appreciate it, because he once gave me a very good book, The Prince by Machiavelli. In that connection, by the way, I would advise you to study Guicciardini, who's like a moderate Machiavelli, and who figures in my latest book, which is called, which is about Guicciardini and interstate relations and how it's relevant to today. So I've become essentially a diplomatic historian and an academic. I'm writing another book at the moment on Anglo-Greek relations, the full story. Now, I just want to say goodbye to you. If any of you want to ever get in touch through Simon Craddock. I'm still very, very, very active spearfishing and reading and writing and learning and hunting simplicity. God bless you all. Goodbye. Ciao.